I work at RTKL. I'm the applications administrator for the London office. We're basically a design and engineering firm with master planning as well. There's 13 offices around the world, from Asia to the Middle East, and to 8 offices in the US. So we have had a lot of sort of focus on the US in the past, but we've become much more global in the last sort of 20, 30 years. So yeah, I mean, we've been using Autodesk products since 2001. It was a decision back then that we would move towards the whole suite of products. We start most of our projects in Ecotech and Vasari, and just to get understanding of massing and shapes and building orientations and just get early analysis results. Then after that, if we need much more simulation on a project, we would ask one of our offices in the US for advice in regards to CFD simulation tools that Autodesk provide. And then from a drawing production and construction drawing, we always by default moved to Revit. It was a decision we made many years ago, and it's just the normal platform that we use when it comes to drawing production. Through the years it's just got easier and easier, and in fact a lot of the times we stay in Revit now to do a lot of our visualizations before moving into Navisworks, which we've started using in the last few years on projects to do with 4D modelling and understanding of simulations and that sort of side of things. So we use the whole suite all the way from inception all the way to construction and basically post occupancy, hopefully soon. Buildings are starting to take longer for us anyway. We've noticed in my sort of 15 years in the industry, there's been 2 reasons that I've noticed that the buildings are taking long to build. One is that the complexity of the building is definitely increasing compared to what it was sort of 10, 15 years ago, unless you were on hospital projects, which has always been complicated. The other reason is that there's more and more stakeholders usually involved in the designing and the building of the building. So there's a hell of a lot more people to have input and to make sure that they're getting the best benefits that they want from the models and the designs we produce. It's a project in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, which was very challenging for us because it was 2 parcels being produced at the same time. There's 2 buildings, each with roughly 66,000 metres squared of gross floor area to cover. Mixed use, so it's residential and office and retail, and there was many challenges because of the fact that it was interconnected with other parcels and other buildings that had been built by other architects at the same time. And so using the Autodesk products, it was useful and good to be able to understand how all these through 4D modelling would interact with each other as they're all trying to be built against each other and understanding how their connections would meet. It was a project that was in Revit architecture for us, and the structural engineers and the mechanical, electrical and plumbing engineers were brought on in Revit as well. And so it was really useful to be able to all coordinate our facades and our structural slabs and understand the complex shapes that we were deciding on for the design and how they were all going to come together. It was great to be able to use Ecotech and Vasari at these early stages because we were able to analyse the building shape and make sure that it was in the right orientation, to make sure that we were managing to keep shadow casting to a minimum way we didn't want it, and also to create shadows, natural shading, without having to put extra louver systems on the facades. It meant that the output was always the same. It also meant that we could use our Revit models for visualization purposes with our stakeholders, and the client knew exactly what our design intent was straight from our model without us having to take it to another software and try to get it looking visually somewhere that we could communicate what they want to hear or what they want to see. Although the site technically was flat and it's a desert space that we were filling, so existing wise there wasn't a great deal to understand, but the other parcels and the other buildings around it are all coming up at the same time. So we used Revit to understand and Navisworks to understand how this is going to affect our design long term, because we literally had nothing to gauge on what exactly was going to be the buildings and parcels that were going to be surrounding us and what shape and form they were going to take prior to designing our own models. We use it. This side of things was great as well for Revit because we were using it for scheduling and rationalising the facades. Some of the facades had quite intricate shapes and forms, and at the early stages of the projects, of course, there was hundreds of different types of facades that and understanding how we could rationalise these and what is the most likely way that the manufacturers are going to be using it, and putting it together as a construction system, it really helped. So from the design perspective, the fact that what we do with a lot of these spaces is that we add parameters to understand basically what costing of area requirements we're going to meet. And so being able to parametrically change that and parametrically change wall positions using dimensional parameters has meant that we can straight away start giving that output as different, every half an hour basically if need be, and just give a whole list of deliverables or a list of information to them for them to then decide on which ones are valuable to them and which ones we should be moving forward with. From an AutoCAD perspective, we used to use autolisps and scripting methods to do a lot of the commands now that basically need very little programming, and that means I can sort of step away and leave the teams to do things on their own, which is great.